We have Mr. Tom Wagner here from Mount Airy, who's going to be talking to us about his memories of Mount Airy. So thank you for being here, Mr. Wagner.
I'm here.
What we'd like to know is, where were you born, or what brought you to Carroll County?
My parents lived on Hill Street in Frederick County.
Okay.
So that's right, you know, it's west end of town.
Right.
So I grew up there in Frederick County, 500 Hill Street.
Wow. And where did you go to school?
Mount Airy. See, back then it wasn't any regional schools. It was all local. Mount Airy had elementary and high school, middle school, whatever.
I see. So it didn't matter if you were Frederick County
no,
or Carroll County.
No, it didn't matter to them.
Even though you...
He was kind of pointing out, you know, you live in Frederick County, you know, but that's the way it was.
Oh. But other than that, it made no difference. It was just a line.
Right.
All right. Well, what was the neighborhood like back then?
Everybody was good neighbors, and the kids were kids, and there was a few ornery people around, but those kids agitated them at Halloween, so it don't matter. We kind of evened it up a little bit. So.
You got them back.
Right.
And was Main Street itself pretty different, or?
Well, there wasn't a traffic like it is now. It's nothing like that. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going on in Mount Airy. It was a farming community, mostly. And what went on, now Friday night would be a little busy because we used to have what they call Friday night drawings.
And what was that?
Well, the merchants chipped in so much a week, and then they'd people would register at the stores. Yeah. And at 8 o'clock on Friday night, Mr. Esther, who had the milling company.
Okay, and where was the milling company?
The Mount Airy mill that burned down.
Oh, okay.
In '69. He would go up in front of the, well, it's the V there at Park Avenue on the sidewalk there. And they would have a drawing, and you had to be there to win it. And the streets would be lined with local people, farming, you know, people in agriculture or rural, wherever, in the townies, all would be there for the Friday night drawings.
Was it like a for 50-50 raffle, or
well, I think
was
it
it
coupons in the store? Maybe it was a raffle. I'm not. Mrs. Betty Eifert could tell you. She could probably tell you something about that. I don't know if you can interview her from the senior center, but she could tell you a little more. I forget what. I think it was coupons in the stores. I'm not sure. Maybe it was money. It could have been money.
Oh, that sounds like a good way to get the town together.
It was a good way to, on Friday night, Mount Airy was a bustling little town. And of course you had the grocery stores, Brownings and Tops and Acme Market and Smith's Grocery. They all, you know.
All along Main Street.
Yeah, and you had Wilkins Clothing Store and the restaurant. It was a busy little town on Friday night.
Huh.
And it was neat.
And it was kids and adults. It sounds like it was kind of a good thing for all of you to do.
Yeah. So everybody went to the Friday night drawing downtown. That's the way it was.
We should bring that back again. That sounds like fun.
It was interesting.
Yeah. Did you grow up, was your family farmers?
No, they were, my dad was a little bit agriculture related. Now, my mom's family was dirt farmers. That's what they called them back then. They just, you know, their family lived off the farm, but they, you know, rented it or whatever, worked on the farm. And she grew up in Unionville. And then Daddy's family, they were farmers to a point, but some of his uncles were farmers or whatever. But he grew up around Newmarket. My dad did. But they ended up in Mount Airy.
I see. Yeah. And what was it your father that started the Mount Airy Locker?
No, it was built in World War II by the WPA program. And Mr. Savington up at Libertytown built it. And he was quite a character. And then in '53, he got older and got tired of it, and so Daddy bought it from him. And it was just a locker plant back then. I mean, you had the freezer system. People rented lockers, and we cut up some meat too. But
I see. But it was more a storage.
Yeah, right.
See, I never knew that.
Yeah, you could. That was something new at post-World War II that started. There was a lot of locker plants nationwide because it was a hot item. All of a sudden, everybody was starting to freeze things, vegetables in the gardens, and then people come in and rent a locker instead of buying a freezer.
I see.
But then people started buying freezers, so the locker business got bad. We finally took them out about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago.
Ah.
Redone that part of it.
Isn't that something? All these
yeah.
years I've lived here, I never
I
thought
spent many
about
hours
why
there
it was.
getting stuff out for people, putting stuff away.
Huh. So it was almost like a mailbox
Oh,
at the
yeah.
post office,
Yeah,
except you were
they were
renting your locker.
They were 6 cubic foot.
Isn't that something?
It held a lot of meat too.
But did you do that when you were growing up? When you
Yeah.
were younger, you just have you
Yeah,
had
I was
any
around,
any other jobs besides the locker?
Air Force, United States Air Force,
Oh.
for 4 years. But other than that,
So you've just been in Mount Airy the whole
Yeah.
time. Oh.
I'm from Mount Airy, no doubt about that.
Let's see. I guess the school. We didn't talk. We talked briefly about the school, but what was the size in the school? Was it?
I don't know. I guess it was 20, 25 of us in the classroom, I guess. I don't know. Does that sound right, I guess?
So it was in certain grades, you weren't
Yeah, well,
more than
when I
one grade stuck
graduated
together.
in '63, it was only 63 of us in the class.
Mm.
I said 63, it might not have been that many. 58, I think it was. Wherever it was. But,
Wow. And do you still see a lot of them around?
I see them. There are most of them around.
Yeah, that's-
Within a half hour amount, and most of them
Yeah.
are.
See, that's interesting of Mount Airy.
Yeah.
I know where I went to school, people seem to scatter, but people.
No, it's funny. We had
Stay
a 20-year reunion, and I was surprised at how many was still around Mount Airy.
There's something about the town.
Yeah. Well, I say Mount Airy. Back then you had Winfield and Woodbine, and
Right.
and you went halfway to Westminster. So those kids a good ways away, and they're still around that area or whatever.
Yeah, kind of this area.
Yeah.
And how about are you married?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and how did your wife grow up in this
Oh
area
yeah.
also?
We were neighborhood sweethearts, I guess.
Oh really?
Yeah.
She grew up.
Right. 2 houses down.
Ah.
I spent a lot of time there growing up.
Oh.
Her mother was a great person, and her dad was too. And they always treated me like a king. So she
So-
still does. I'm lucky.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just were you in high school or younger? How did it all come about?
I don't know. When I was old enough to know what was going on, I'd go down to Grimm House. That's where she was. So.
It reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life. They're like
She'd be up in
walking
the tree,
along.
playing in the tree. She was a tomboy.
Ah, well, isn't that
Not
something?
really, but
And then do you have siblings in the area?
yeah, I have a son that lives over at New Windsor. We was talking about. He lives over there. He has a nice place over there, and he works for a crane company down in Clarksburg. And then my daughter lives in northern New Mexico,
Ah.
Taos.
Huh.
Quite an
Oh, so
artsy
she-
city, that is.
I see.
Yeah.
So she's.
So
off
that's a
there.
different world out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
And then do you have siblings? Do you have brothers, sisters?
oh yeah, I got a brother, Billy,
Okay.
which we was in business together till I bought him out. He retired. He lives in Ocean City.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Ah.
And then he's
that's
got
nice.
a part home here in Mount Airy in the basement of one of his son's houses. And then Janice, Jewel, my sister, she lives right off Hill Street.
I see.
Yeah, her husband was in the Air Force for years, and then they retired here in Mount Airy. She had 6 children.
Oh, really?
Billy had 3 kids.
Yeah. Are they all pretty much in the area, or the younger
Wendy
generation tends
Wendy's
to
a town
scatter?
councilman, of course. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
Willie's
Wendy.
a Baltimore City policeman, and Mickey works for a company down around Washington, does construction sales and things.
Yeah. So they still stayed pretty local,
Yeah,
except
yep.
for your daughter. How about carnivals and things? I know we had the Lions Carnival and the.
That was a
and
big time back then in Mount Airy.
So there still are. Things haven't changed as far as the
Well,
carnivals
now
go.
the carnivals are so much bigger, and I can remember when firemen, they had some problems one year. We only had one ride there, a Ferris wheel or something. But we always got along. Made a few dollars, and
Yeah.
it wasn't. You wanted to make money because that's basically what the fire company lived off of, was carnival back then. So But
Yeah.
people donated, and the agriculture, being an agriculture community, the farmers helped out, with the money and whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, you
Yeah.
always give a car away, and that was a big deal. Everybody waiting at the
Go
two
in the
won
car.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody over Hightstown went, "Who's that guy? What's he doing?"
Should be a local person.
Right.
So that's what it sounds like. Something.
Carnivals was the farmers' carnival was always a highlight. The Lions was a little less, but it was still interesting.
And were they the same time like they are now?
No, they was about Lions was always in June,
Okay.
and the farmers was always the last full week of July.
Okay.
And sometimes it's pretty hot.
Yeah.
It's pretty hot.
So let's see. What would you most like to change about this area?
Change.
Yeah. What?
Oh, I don't. It's growed. The change, I just like to see less traffic, but that's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
I like people, so I have no qualms about it. It's just sometimes you have to swallow.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you could change, really. I mean, it's part of growth and everything, I guess.
Right, and I guess the allure of the area, if
Yeah.
it's a nice area, people are going to flock
But as
to
far as
it.
change, I don't see, unless, 15 years ago, said, we don't want anybody in Mount Airy and lock the doors. I don't know what else you could have done,
Right. I guess.
I mean, this library wouldn't be here, wouldn't be anything around here,
Yeah. And
Wouldn't be any senior center or nothing else. I mean, that's, in some communities probably have done that over the years, and they're probably sorry they've done it, but, I think Mount Airy's done pretty good.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear
Well,
that from
You won't-
someone who's seen it evolve.
Sometimes when I'm driving my truck down the road and somebody pulls out in front of me, you won't hear that tone, but
Where are all these people from?
right.
Do you have any specific memories of anything that you'd like to share? Either
Well, I
something
grew
crazy.
up with a boy that we called, Buzz Norris, and he was a man who retired. Well, we called it back then, men who retired.
Yeah.
And he was my next door neighbor. We had a lot of memories together.
Yeah. Anything specific that was crazy or that?
Well, there was a lot of crazy things happening. Buzz and I went somewhere every night, and it was just a lot of things went on.
Oh, that's good.
We even took him up to the Francis Scott Key Hotel one night to eat.
Yeah.
That was back then. That was a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Is that the one in Frederick?
Well, it's not a hotel anymore. It's a rest home, I guess, or something across from was it the Wagner or used to be the Tivoli Theater. Because we went up to Tivoli, the movies would come out, we was hungry. I said, well, hell, we might as well go over here in the hotel. We went in the high-class dining room. People were staring at us, so we sit down and ate, Buzz and I.
Couple
and
of country
others.
boys.
Yeah. But
Oh.
had a lot of good memories.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's see if there's anything. What was your favorite thing to do in the summer as a child here in Mount Airy?
Play ball,
Yeah.
baseball.
Was there? Did you play there at the?
No, we
Baseball
played in
grounds?
backyards. Every backyard had their own system or bases, and mostly in our backyard, because we had a big backyard where I lived. So everybody come up my house and we played baseball.
And I guess there weren't a lot of parents around.
Oh yeah, well, there was Miss Norris, Buzz's mother. She'd be around because we used to break her basement window out all the time.
So they had to be around.
Right.
Just to make sure.
Of course, she had two girls living there. It's older than Buzz, so they were still home. Of course, Mom and Dad, Daddy would be around in the afternoon because he always come home, take a nap, and see what we were doing.
Well, it sounds like it was good
Yeah.
memories. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
guess
was.
that's probably why we have that big baseball complex now. Just to,
Well, we
I mean-
used to play in. Sometimes we'd venture in another part of town to play ball, but I used to go up on Park Avenue and play up there at it was my cousin's house, Mike Wagner, and he had a little dog over there, and I was the only one he'd bite. He wouldn't bite anybody else, but that little dog would chew on me every time.
what did he know, huh?
He wasn't about that big, but he would bite. He wouldn't bother anybody else but me. I never figured that out.
Isn't
but,
that something?
we
So
used to
you'd
play
always
ball
run a
crap.
little faster when
Right.
you were playing in his yard.
Right, and our back then, the Little League games was up to the school, to elementary school.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have leagues?
Yeah, but you only played once a week, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal, too, because you put the uniform on, my Lord, you thought you was King Tut.
Mm. Yeah.
Everybody hooping and hollering and carrying on. It was interesting.
Hmm. And then when you were a teenager, was there anything specific that you
Just
remember?
what teens do.
Did we have a movie theater back then?
No, we had to go to Damascus.
Ah.
Over to the Druid Theater.
Hmm.
And we made many trip there.
Oh, so some things never change then. Huh?
Nope.
I mean, that's the complaint of the kids nowadays. There's no movies. There's nothing to do.
I guess kids today have to go to Frederick, I guess, or wherever. That's the
Mhm.
closest place they got.
Yeah.
Or
Frederick
Westminster.
or Eldersburg or
Yeah.
Westminster.
But back then, we had to go to Damascus.
Oh.
Well, I'm telling a fib here because I was Mr. Jones had a theater down on Main Street
Okay.
where, well, it's an auto parts store there now. I think
Okay.
Mr. Ileana bought the building.
Okay.
You can still see where they used to, the roof come out where they posted the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, a small kid, they were still there, but then Mr. Jones had to close it up because it wasn't doing business.
Ah. Just not.
But I barely remember going to movies there.
I see.
I'm sure it's Bill Nell, and when he comes in, he probably remembers more about it than I do.
Oh, we'll have to
You have to ask
test
about
his memory.
Right.
See.
But
So did you graduate from high school here in Mount Airy?
Sure, 63.
Okay, so it was still here.
oh yeah,
Was it? I know it wasn't.
66, I think, was last year, wasn't it?
Oh, was that? Yeah, I know it was sometime
Yeah.
late '60s that they.
That's
Moved to South
one thing
Carolina.
that's bugged me a little bit. Being a Mount Airy is when they took high school out of town. I thought that was terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think really and truly Mount Airy's been the same since.
Hmm.
In one part of it, because we don't have that rah-rah Mount Airy spirit that I think that the town is missing, to me.
True. You're right.
And it's great to have these big schools, but I think kids get lost in the big schools. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's just my opinion.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Just as a
I'd
parent
rather
of
see a
someone
school
in
here in
school.
Mount Airy, and but
Yeah.
that's the way it goes.
Well,
Nothing I can do about it.
You never know. You know, we could.
I don't think
Got a
we'll ever
niece
see it
in
happen.
politics. We'll get
No.
it going.
Right.
But so we'll close up with just having you describe what is the best thing about Carroll County that you would, if you encountered someone who's never visited, say someone from out of town came to the locker, what would you tell them?
No, I think it's back to what we was talking about earlier. It's people.
Just,
I mean,
you know.
I know a lot of people in Carroll County, and most of them in agriculture or whatever, and they're good people.
Mhm.
And I think they'll do most anything for you if you got in the middle or whatever. But I think it's just the people.
So that's what would
Right.
draws you most.
How long it'll last, I don't know. But
Well, I think with folks like yourself out there, running the
I'm
businesses.
getting old. That's
I
why.
think- Well, you show us how it's done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, thank you very much, Mr.
All right.
Wagner. I think
Well, it's been a pleasure.
call it a wrap. Does that?